We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and with me for this Wallet Watch episode is Chris Calandra from Elliott Wealth Management. Chris, how you doing?
I am very good, although the world is as crazy as ever, I think.
It really is. Market volatility's been all over the place. We had one day last week where things shot up, and then we lost all of those gains and more the following day.
Yes.
Tell us what's going on.
That was so disheartening, by the way, to see a great day only followed by an equally bad day. You know, I think the country seems to be feeling like almost a feeling of foreboding. I think the country clearly is COVID hanger. We have inflation, we have rising interest rates, we have the conflict in the Ukraine and the risk of that spreading. This is all culminated in fears of a recession. In fact, last quarter, the economy shrunk a little surprisingly. So we might already be in a recession and not know it. I think additionally, there's unhappiness in DC with our politicians. I know this isn't a political show, but the polling of the Biden administration is very bad. So there's a lack of confidence in the leadership at the top. And it's not just Republicans, it's independents and a decent amount of Democrats too. So all of this has created this environment this year where there's just so much negativity. And the markets, the stock market and the bond market, most major markets have had a very, very rough time of it this year. As an example, Eric, the first quarter was the first time in US history where the stock market and the US Treasury market went down by more than 5% in the same quarter. What that's telling you is that there's not much working and there's not a lot of places to hide in the investment world. There are exceptions to that. Commodities have done well, energy has done well, but by and large, everything is getting beaten up. So this is a good time for investors to review their plan, make sure that it is well designed, consistent with your personal goals and objectives. At times like this, it's wise to avoid emotional decisions. Those often turn out not to be good ones. And keep an eye to the long term. I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, but history demonstrates that periods like this, turmoil, downturns in the market, are followed by resurgent periods, bull markets, periods where the markets do very, very well. So a lot of times it makes sense to hang in there, not in all instances, but it's a pretty good general rule. So that's my quick summary. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Yeah, obviously everybody needs to take a look at their own individual circumstances before making a decision. But you said something that was really interesting about the polling numbers and COVID fatigue. How much of what's going on in the markets and the economy in general, because we did have a relatively strong jobs number last week. So
Yes.
how much of what's going on is due to macroeconomic factors, and how much of it is psychology and just people looking at this like, oh my God, things are terrible, and they're getting scared?
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer. My sense would be that most of it is the legitimate macro issues that we're dealing with, the vast majority of it. But that is coupled with many of these difficulties. A lot of people, including me, believe that the administration either created or contributed to. I would not give them high marks on dealing with any of these difficult things. So then the other piece that's coupled with the major part being the macroeconomics is that the American people might not have a lot of confidence that this administration is going to be effective in finding solutions and working through these difficult things. And that only adds to the negative sentiment we're thinking about right now as Americans. So most of it's macro, but if you have leadership that you have faith in, that you believe can lead through difficult periods, it makes those difficult periods a little bit better. And then you get some positive psychology out of it that is beneficial. I think we're actually getting the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's very clear. I mean, all of the polls have Biden underwater on just about everything, topic wise. So the American people clearly do not have confidence in him. And I think any confidence they may have is undermined every time they go to fill up their gas tank, every time they go to the supermarket, and they're hit with these higher prices.
Yes, it is very much, and we've talked about this on your show, and I've talked about this a lot on my show, the Simply Financial podcast. People don't need the inflation story to be explained to them. They don't need the media talking heads. They don't need a politician. They see it every day, constantly. The grocery store, restaurants, filling up their gas tank, trying to hire people to work at their home to fix things. It is ever present. And people are feeling that pain in a very real way. And they get it. They get it. And that's different than a lot of other issues like what to do in the Ukraine. It's hard for Americans to kind of figure out what's going on. And you do rely a bit on the professionals in the media and in Washington, D.C. And I use that term loosely. But the inflation thing is very intense and very real. People get it. And everybody is talking about it. It's captured everybody's attention.
Well, it's hard not to because it's right in front of people. Most political issues, the southern border, Ukraine, if you don't turn on the news, if the news isn't covering it that day, it doesn't seem as bad because it's, sort of out of sight, out of mind. Inflation is with you constantly. Every time you buy something, every time you have to go to the store, every time you can't find something at the store. So it's very hard for anybody to go, well, this isn't a real problem. And people people don't believe them when they say that. So yes, the inflation numbers are going to be top of mind because it hits everything you do. When gas goes up, the price of everything else goes up because it costs more to transport it to the store to get it to you.
That's right. And if I could just add on, unlike a lot of other economic, political, geopolitical kind of issues, is the local media is often driving the story. So if you watch your local news, like a lot of Americans do, they're at the local gas station, they're showing you shortages, empty shelves in the grocery store. And the mainstream media, the national media, personally, I think often doesn't do a good job informing the American people. I'm very negative on the national media, the media in general. But this is very much a local story, unlike many others. So you see it watching your news. They're always talking about gas prices today, how much it's going to cost to travel on Memorial Day, showing you how flights are expensive, all of these different things. The local media is also helping to drive the story in a way that other stories may not be, with the national media maybe manipulating what they communicate to the American people.
Very true. It's a story we can't escape, and it affects everybody. So, Chris, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure as always.
And that's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth, as well as every episode of Simply Financial at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.